The Valley kind of has a self-esteem issue. You hear from a lot of people that even live here that they don't like where they live, can't wait till they move. And we want to try to change those minds.
Okay, tell me why Fresno sucks.
People are like, well, I don't like it here. And you're like, well, did you go to this and that?
They know, oh, this is where all the migrant workers live, but there's just so much more to it.
Really, if you do social justice work, I would go to LA and see it thriving and being part of this great world, and I knew I had to come back and tell the stories that our communities need to tell.
Punjabi is now the third most spoken language in the Central Valley. But we don't think of ourselves that way.
My dad put all of us in judo, but not everyone's stuck, no.
And I've lived in Avondale since 1947.
Well, I always thought that, I would move away, become this huge, wealthy celebrity, come back and throw money at London.
As an artist, you can confront your own issues and your own grief, but you can also help other people confront those same issues.
I would love to teach dance in a prison.
I do have an addiction, and I'm here to get it right.
When we came to live here in the Valley, I really wanted to continue in dancing ballet folklorico.
Our new neighbors were coming in from Syria as refugees.
And if I really feel like I've made a difference for someone, I feel good.
And quite honestly, we don't know what the future holds, but we know that it's going to get better.
I basically just told myself, it's game time.
The Central Valley is no longer my house, it is my home.
I think the Big Tell kind of reaches out and it grabs the urban and the rural and it blends it all together, and we're able to tell those stories without feeling like anyone's better than anyone else.
And what's absolutely unique about the Big Tell, it is local filmmakers telling their stories in the way that they want to tell them.
The Central Valley is a really special place. We always get compared to those big metropolitan areas. The mission of the Big Tell is so important in terms of getting those good stories about the good things that are happening in the Central Valley out to really a worldwide audience, but especially here at home.
Okay, so that film was actually made by one of our first filmmakers from our first year that we did it, Haley White. She works with the Fools Collaborative here in Fresno. So she was gracious enough to come back and do this for our second year, so we were very excited for it. A little background on the Big Tell. So with the Central Valley Community Foundation, we're a fund management community foundation. So what we do is that we take donated dollars and we re-grant it to the community, to organizations. And for our arts and culture grant, we decided to do storytelling, but through film. So that's kind of how the Big Tell came around. We started in 2017, where we just decided to grant 10 $5,000 grants to filmmakers in the Central Valley to create films about the Central Valley. Because I don't know, kind of stated in the video, I feel like there's some people in Fresno that we are our worst critic. Like, it's always like, there's nothing to do. Like, we always have to go to San Francisco and LA. If you've ever heard the most positive thing that I think I've ever heard is someone say, well, we're only like 3 hours away from the beach. I'm like, whoa, we have a lot more to offer than just being 3 hours away from the beach. So that's kind of what the Big Tell is for, is to share the stories of the people that make the Central Valley so special. In 2017, Academy Award-winning visual effects artist Michael Fink and Emmy-nominated documentarian Sasha Rice, they joined the Big Tell as mentors. The previous year, last year, Sasha came back and she decided to be a mentor again, and she will be a mentor for this third year coming around. So for those that do apply for the Big Tell and they do go through this whole process, you'll be getting mentorship from her, where she'll kind of help develop your story. She'll kind of tell you, like, maybe you should stick with this angle, or maybe you should focus on a different storyline, just something to help your story grow. So with the Big Tell, there's 3 roles involved. There's us, CVCF, we're the funder. We do the applications, the media, the event overall. There's Sasha, who does the advising. She'll also help keep you on time in terms of getting your film produced, because the winner will be chosen in June. And then you'll have from July to October to actually finish the film. So she'll kind of help you, guide you in how you can finish this project. Because, I mean, it sounds like a long time, but it's 5-minute film, like that could be a little bit stressful of a work. Yeah, so it is a 5-minute film. I know, it seems like a short thing, but ooh, you'd be surprised. I sat there and I'm like, I don't think I could do a 5-minute film. I mean, got to shorten it down. Like some people are like, oh, 30 minutes, I could do that. But then when you kind of shorten that down to 5 minutes, it's a really short timeline. So, and then for the 3 years, we've partnered with CMAC. They provide technical resources. How many of you guys remember CMAC? Okay, awesome. You guys are incredible. So they provide technical resources if you guys want to learn how to do editing, any of the pre-production, any of that. They do offer workshops and other resources as well. And if you need a fiscal sponsor, they are able to do that as well for you guys too. So who can enter? Basically anyone. We don't shy away from just doing professional or student. We just want to open it up to anyone. If we encourage those that, you know, even if you've never picked up a camera before. Last year, Karen Dusek, she was one of our filmmakers from Mariposa. She'd never made a film before in her life. The film that she showed at the Big Tell was actually her very first one. She picked up a camera, started to learn, and she taught herself how to edit, and she made her own film, and that was the first one she ever made. So even if you've never picked up a camera before, we still encourage you to apply. There's actually no fee to apply. If you want to go ahead and submit 1, 5, 10, 20, if you have the time for 20, that's amazing. But you can submit as many applications as you'd like. We don't charge for the applications. And one of our most asked questions is, what kind of films are you looking for? And we kind of keep it broad when we say stories of the Central Valley. That just opens it up to anything. We actually have a service area of 6 counties, which is Fresno, Madera, Merced, Mariposa, Kings, and Tulare. So as long as it's about a person, an organization, something related to the Central Valley, then you're good to go. That's all we're really looking for. Yes, sir?
How many people usually apply? Because there's only 10 slots, right?
Yeah, there's only about 10 slots, and altogether we get a little over 75 applications each year that we've done it. So we do get a lot of interest, but again, we're looking for films from all throughout the Central Valley. So sometimes there's we do get a lot more for Fresno than we would for like Mariposa or Merced or something.
I don't want to ask too many questions, but now if we had a couple ideas, we could submit a couple different ideas, and then one may be one that, you know, fits what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, so if you have multiple ideas, we encourage you to submit them all if you'd want to. We don't put a limit on that. We don't say, oh gosh, this person's turned in 5, they're automatically disqualified. We're not like, oh my God, this person turned in 5 and we get to read 5 story ideas. So the more that you have, if you want to submit them all, we encourage you to do that. So, and I mean, if you have questions, ask them. That's why we're here today. So ask away. Yeah?
But it's one application per idea?
Yeah, it's one application per idea. So you will have to, because you do have to submit like the concept story, any of that. So each of them will have to have their own application to that. Mm-hmm. And I know from the way that the kickoff video made it seem like we really wanted something happy and upbeat, but you know, in different topics, you can choose whatever you want. If it's more of a heavy subject, if you want to do something that's more uplifting and happy, then it can be anything just to bring awareness. So for example, last year, we had gotten a few ideas in terms of human trafficking. And so, you know, it's a tough topic, but we were very happy to have gotten a few applications for that. Zach Green and Shelly Ellis, they're from Visalia and Tulare. They both applied, but they did it through the perspective of the police officers, which we thought was a very interesting idea. So we'll go ahead and just take a look at an example from one of the films last year, and that is Zach and Shelly's, to just kind of give you an idea of some of the films that were submitted before.
When someone engages in a commercial sex act because of force, fraud, or coercion, it is called sex trafficking. When the victim is under 18, it is still trafficking, even when force, fraud, and coercion are not used.
911, state your emergency.
Hi, this is
I'm a runaway from Merced County, and I'm here in the McDonald's with a guy that's trying to sell me to someone who's outside, and I'm scared.
Okay.
And I'm scared he's outside. I don't know what to do.
Okay. I'm going to get the police out there. I'm going to get you an ambulance, too, okay?
Wait, can I say something? But he's outside. I'm scared. He's going to know that I told her something.
Does he have any weapons that you know of?
No, but he told me that if I told anyone that he would beat the shit out of me.
Okay.
He told me to come in and change. So I can go get shelled by this one guy, but I'm scared.
We had a young runaway from Merced County. She was rescued out of a bathroom in a fast food restaurant in Fresno County, and just a horrific 911 call. Turns out she's a victim of human trafficking in Tulare County, and we were fortunate that we prosecuted, and her trafficker is in prison now, thanks to the efforts of the task force and that collaboration.
The community is very agricultural based, business based. There's a lot of people who just want to go to church and be safe. They want their children to be safe in their schools, and for the most part we have that.
In 2016, Tulare County Sheriff's detectives arrested a man who had seduced and groomed as many as 58 sex trafficking victims, mostly through Facebook, using false identities.
Operation Babyface actually changed my perception of what's occurring in my own community. And because this did touch home, it became very shocking.
A 14-year-old received a friend request from a really pretty girl named Rebecca Rodriguez. Rebecca Rodriguez had said that she hung out with her friends and then said, we do stripping and a little bit of stuff on the side to make money. There was times I remember reading these messages and I thought that maybe it was a girl. Who is this Rebecca Rodriguez? How big is this?
I was to create a Facebook account becoming the undercover, a 16-year-old female living in the Tulare County area.
A lot of the, especially female juvenile victims, they would post something on the internet like, I hate my parents. And that was the open door that he used as Rebecca Rodriguez to contact these girls.
I played that shy girl, that insecure kid that he was looking for.
For us to actually get that friend request from him, when it happened, nobody can believe it. Everything fell in play and he befriended us and it just started the entire operation. He lived a double life. He had kids, he was married, he had a job that he went to, but it seemed like he had the ability to flip that switch and be a monster. He would hold what he called tryouts. I can only imagine the girls looking at him when he showed up and the fear that they must have gone to.
We've debriefed and interviewed just dozens and dozens of young girls, victims, okay? And do you know how many times they look across a courtroom or look at photos or look at an individual and go, that's my trafficker or that's my pimp? None. You know what they say? That's my boyfriend.
I tell people all the time, and I repeat the message, if you are going to endanger the innocence of our children, I'm coming to get you, and I mean it.
So law enforcement and our district attorney's office is putting money and manpower behind those investigations and sting operations. It shows how far we've come, because it was always happening. Most importantly, survivors are getting help and services. But at some point we need to look and say, what do we do to prevent somebody from ever having the idea that it's okay to buy another human being?
And originally, when he first submitted, it was maybe about 30. And so the challenge was to take a lot of that footage and still tell a very strong and compelling story in 5 minutes. He did a really amazing job. And that's kind of what the point of these films are, is to inform people of things that they might not be aware of. They've since then taken the film that they've made to their organizations in Tulare County, and they're using this as an educational piece in the school districts. So it's a really good thing that they were able to do this process. A lot of people use this as more of bringing awareness. Some of them want to make a cool, feel-good story. Other people want to make and tell the story of an individual that might have never had the voice to do something like this before. So anything that you guys can think of, that's why I mentioned if you have several ideas, put them out there, just because you never know which one's going to stick on the wall. So we just encourage you guys to submit as many ideas as you want. Another thing we hear a lot is, I'm not a filmmaker, but I have a story to tell. That's a great resource into utilizing somebody like CMAC, just because if you do have your membership here, and Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have a project you're working on but you don't have a team yet, then you can go ahead and submit your idea to see if you can assemble a team together. Is that correct?
Yes, CMAC has a volunteer list, so the ability to help you find other CMAC members who might be interested in collaborating on a project.
Awesome, yay.
Okay, so once you submit your idea, you have to write it out like you said. That's when they pick the ones they're going to use, and then they help you.
Yes. So that's another misconception. The 5-minute film doesn't have to be done in order for you to apply. So all you really have to do is write out your idea. I mean, you can draw out a storyboard, or if you just want to type out, I'm going to do a few interviews with a few people, or so it doesn't have to be a 5-minute film completed. So all we're looking for is the idea. We'll kind of read over these ideas. If you have a couple clips here and there, you can always show us the clips. And then we can kind of get an idea of what you guys are looking to do. But the full 5-minute film does not have to be done. So that's essentially what the grant is for. So if you needed to buy equipment, if you needed to pay to have someone help you with the film, like that's what the film grant is for.
But that's when they pick it, right?
Yeah, so you'll submit your idea, we'll go through the applications, and once it's picked, then that's when you start to make the film.
And you just let us know that we weren't picked.
Yeah. No, it's going to be October, and we're like, oh, so is the film done? Awkward. We thought we told you. No, we will let you know. Yeah, so it would be a whole process for it. Yeah?
But you can turn in a 5-minute video, say, if you created one.
So we can't have the film completely finished. It has to be a story that hasn't quite been developed. If you have bits and pieces here and there, then that's fine. But it has to be, the whole process has to be completed during that time period. So, yeah.
No, just
oh.
you said.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll try to speak up a little louder.
Yeah. Just to further clarify that last question, so just for my example, so say I do have a 4-minute video that kind of I made, and then I happened to see this, and I was like, well, that fits. So, however, I would want to beef it up and make, create a better version for this contest. Would that be something I could submit, like a 4-minute video, or would you want something more down to the 30 seconds you were asking for?
Probably just the concept, so like a 30-second, just to get that idea. Okay. And I mean, if you have a chunk of it kind of already finished, then that might be like, and it gets picked, that's where Sasha can come in and kind of help you look over that kind of 4 minutes that you already have, and kind of detail where it's like, well, maybe you want to add a little more here or do a little more over here. But for the application, we only need that 30-second little chunk. So, yes?
Can I ask you about the process when all the applications are turned in? Do you have a panel that reviews this? Are you looking a criteria that you have?
So we do have a panel that consists of different members of the community that we have through the foundation, CMAC being included in that. The process, I'll be quite honest, it's kind of complicated because we do have that 6-county service area, so we want to make sure that everyone's equally represented. So say, for example, we got 9 filmmakers that are doing films on art, well, but we already have 5 people from different counties, where the likelihood of someone being picked from that remaining 1 county, that might influence that. Or maybe it's the other way around. We already have 9 applications from professional filmmakers, but we want to give the shot to someone who's an amateur filmmaker. So it's a little complicated just because a lot of factors go into the application itself. But in the end, it's all about the story and how detailed that concept is, because the more that we can get an idea of how it's going to look like, if you already have people that you're going to interview, that idea is very solid and very solidified, then the likelihood is much greater than that. It's just a very complicated one just because there's so many factors that go into that. So, yes?
And what about if you have a topic that spans multiple counties? What's the best way to address that? Like, you have to pick one of the counties? I mean, obviously in the description it'll say different things, but on your website it's pick one of the counties. So how do you...
What I'd recommend is doing a focus point. So if maybe there's an area that stands out a little more, but I'd still definitely somewhere in that description say that it spans different counties, just because we've kind of had that before, where we've had maybe the filmmaker was from Tulare, but their story was based out of Madera, like, so things kind of like that. But as long as you're very specific on it to where we can see that, it's good for us to know. Make sure. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I had the impression that it's supposed to be like a positive, uplifting story that you're mostly looking for to attract people into the Central Valley, but that last story I didn't really feel.
Well, that's exactly why we showed it, because a lot of the stories are very upbeat, but we open it to any kind of topic. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that upbeat, happy story. It can be something that's because that's a very informative piece and it's a very heavy topic, but a lot of good came out of that. So it's showcasing the work that's being done in the Central Valley to kind of combat these kind of issues. So it doesn't have to be like a very like upbeat, happy story. If you wanted to go more of that serious topic, then we welcome that too. So.
Go ahead. Well, I wanted to have you explain a little bit more as far as what you expected, as in documentation. Do you want, because you said something about storyboards and all that stuff, what exactly is required? Oh yes, so let me pass it around. I have a physical copy of the application that I can give to you guys. So let's see. So that specific question, it goes towards, it doesn't necessarily have to be a storyboard. Oh, thank you. There's a part in the question, I believe it's, one of the questions asked just for a detailed story concept. That can be done in writing. If you're more of an artist that can draw out something that works too. You're just looking for the concept. Yeah, so the concept. But the concept can be submitted in any way that, yeah, in any form. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a storyboard. It doesn't have to be a video. If you're a much stronger writer.
Does it have to be the treatment like you would submit to a studio or something, or could it just be a concept and then you guys can get the guest together from the concept?
Yeah, like
yeah.
How detailed do you want?
As detailed as you can be. Like, say you already have, like, can you guys share like what you guys are kind of looking to do, or?
Well, I mean, you know, because last year I submitted, and it was actually I had 2 stories that I submitted last year, and both were dealing with unique individuals in Fresno, like farmers and immigrants. And they weren't immigrants and farmers that were covered by anything else, didn't make it. But this year, it's kind of in the same vein, and it was detailed in the concept that I gave. But, you know, it's going to be along kind of that same vein, because there's some issues that need to be dealt with in the Central Valley.
Okay, I'm trying to pull back, but yeah.
These have to be non-fictional stories, 5 minutes long. I heard you speak, maybe I misunderstood you because I don't hear that well. I heard 20 minutes or 30 minutes. What was that all about?
Oh no, that we've had people before. The challenge from the previous film was he had a lot of footage and he had to condense that down to 5 minutes. So it can be a little bit of a challenge when you have a lot of content going in. But yeah, all films have to be 5 minutes.
Non-fictional local stories about people that live here in Fresno County.
Fresno, Madera, Merced, Mariposa, Kings, or Tulare.
Okay, no matter what the concept, they have to be real stories, people living here. Cool.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be about people either.
Huh?
It doesn't have to be about
people. No.
Yeah.
It's going to be about people. Hey, people.
He already got his idea. But going back to your question, if you're I'm trying to remember your application, but yeah, as long as you're very detailed, I mean, some people already had, like they included in their application, we have interviews set up, we're gonna interview this person, this person, this person.
Okay.
So,
but you don't necessarily have to put that in there.
yeah, you don't necessarily, yeah, so it's more of the concept, yeah.
Yeah, the story I gave was a high-profile crime that happened, and the father died because of the crime, but his son took over the business. They were immigrants, and he made it more successful because of the father's death. He was a rock and roll artist that traveled the country and decided to stay in Fresno and take over his dad's business and run it. And that was one of the stories that was submitted. And then we had the one of the endangered black farmers, because they're dwindling, but neither one made it.
Well, just go ahead and try again. I mean, I encourage. There's only 10 spots available and we get over 75. It's a little hard and challenging. Trust me, we spend days just almost so frustrated that we can't pick them all. But
are you able to resubmit?
Yes, you are able to resubmit. Mm-hmm. Yes?
My buddy couldn't make it. Can I get an extra application?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And sir, you had your hand up back there?
Yes. As far as the 30-second clip that gives a synopsis of the film, do you want us to make it on like a YouTube and give you the link? I'm trying to, is that a separate thing that we're going to send in apart from this?
Yes, so that's just a copy so that you guys can have. We encourage you guys to apply online because then you can put links into the application itself. Yeah, so if you guys visited the bigtell.org, that application is available on the website, so you can easily just attach a file to it, or you can already copy and paste the links to it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do some people put YouTube links on there?
Yeah, we've had Vimeo, YouTube, anything that you prefer. As long as it's helping get your story across, then you can go ahead and put that on the application.
Stuff that we can't?
Pardon?
Are there any copyrighted stuff that we can't put on there?
All of the stuff submitted does have to be original work.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I saw a hand. Yeah, there we go.
Can you give a little more detail about the 30-second concept video? Is that something that you would just explain on film, or would you actually?
So I believe, is that the question that includes storyboard, concept note?
Just the video. I'm curious about the video. Yeah, but that is
So there's, at times when we've done this in the past, there's people that kind of already have an idea of what they want their film to be, but they just don't have the resources to complete it. So they might have little clips here and there. So if you wanted to include something like that, it doesn't necessarily have to be a sit down where you explain to us. It's more of, here's a clip of, I'm going to use that last video for example, of interviews I've done with the sheriff's office. And so you have that little clip, you can send in a small clip of that so that we can kind of get an idea of what you're going for. Yeah, or not essentially in the way, but just anything in general. I'm just using interviews as an example because that's kind of what they use there. But say you wanted to submit a film on music in Fresno or something, and you have a few clips of bands that you've already recorded, then you can go ahead and submit clips of that as well. So just anything that you might have as already inspirational pieces, you can put that in there.
knowing that it will be done later.
Yeah, well, because the film does have to be completed this year, but you can use kind of pieces from the past if it fits in with what you're doing now. So, do you guys have?
Is it possible to get 2 films approved? Has it ever been done before?
That hasn't been done before, but if, say you won this year and we do this again next year, you can always reapply.
I mean, on 2 simultaneous submissions.
No, it's one per person. Well, but you can, if you wanted to reapply the next year, it is possible to win it again. Because we've had people come back and do it twice in the past 2 years, so we do encourage that. We also get the question a lot of, what if I don't have my own equipment? Again, that's why we have the amazing team at CMAC that offers all these resources. If you guys are members, then you guys are able to submit your ideas and reserve to use the lighting, to do cameras, anything like that, be available for use. Anything else that I'm missing that you would want to touch on, Kyle?
For those of you who aren't CMAC members, although most of you who are here are, we have equipment available for checkout. We have our studio, which is right behind us here. as a studio space, and we have workshops to train on how to use all of the equipment available for checkout here at CMAC. So that's all available to you. If you are a grantee for the Big Tell, a small portion, 1% of your $5,000 grant could go towards a membership here at CMAC.
Okay, keep on going. So important dates, the applications do close June 7th, so you guys have a little over a month right now to complete that application. After that, we do take a couple weeks to go ahead and look over all of the applications, so you can expect to get notified somewhere that late June. Then after that, we will be doing kind of an orientation kind of date where you will be meeting with Sasha for an in-person meeting, and then after that you guys will be doing kind of Skype meetings where you'll be talking to her during the progress of your film, so you'll be expected to meet with her quite regularly. I want to say every couple weeks or so to kind of talk over your film. The final films will then be due on October 11th. That will give us time to make any necessary edits to send back to you. And then sometime before the showcase in October, you guys will be doing a run through with me at the Tower Theater, where you guys will have a chance to see what your film would look like on screen. So if you wanted to make any edits, like maybe it looks a little too dark or the titles are cut off, then you still have time to go back and make those last minute changes before the showcase. Because then we will be having the showcase Friday, October 25th at the Tower Theater. So.
How many do they usually show that night?
People? So we will show all 10, and last year we had over 700 people come and watch the films. So we were pretty tight in that theater. So yeah, our first year we actually had 600 people, a little over 600 people, and then when we brought it back, we did have to bump it up a little bit because we had over 700 show up. So it's great to see the community support behind it. Any questions, you guys?
I just had another question. Like after this is done, do you guys ever do any others where it's not like a contest or anything, but when you show there at the Tower Theater, do you guys have any others where people just make their films and then you guys show them, like a showing?
We haven't done that through our office, but some of the filmmakers who have won, they've done that like in their hometowns, or they've showed it at kind of different meetings. So once the film and showcase is actually done, you're allowed to do whatever you want with your video. If you wanted,
like other than like not having to do with that, but like if I made a film here, do they have something in the city that shows people's?
Oh, like where can you see them after the showcase? Is that what you're asking?
Like just say you were just creating. Just say this is all done, and just say you continue to create things. Is there an organization that will show, let's say people involved here or whatever, will show it at the Tower Theater? Is there like a ongoing kind of thing like that?
Not at the Tower Theater. We'll continue to show them like through us, and then if you are a CMAC member and you want to submit your work, CMAC will show it on some of their channels. So there's different ways of doing that. Just at the Tower Theater, that's not something that we've done, but it's possible in the future. But yeah, and I was kind of going into that because that'll be a question that's on your frequently asked questions section. You guys, after the film is done, you guys can use it for whatever purpose you'd like. So if you wanted to do kind of your own showing, if you want to do like an informational session, you wanted to use it to apply for, we've had other filmmakers before, they took that film and they've put it into different film contests and actually have been pretty successful with it. So you guys are able to do what you'd like with your film afterwards. So. Yeah.
Let's say, for example, it's about somebody that lives in Fresno. Currently, if you're going to the past a little bit and they live elsewhere, can you show other cities?
Yeah, that is perfectly fine. Yeah, one of our films, it was SEVA, which is a National Day of Giving in that they celebrate out throughout the nation. That they used film from, because I believe it was all brought out through a massacre that happened in Wisconsin, and so they used film from other areas, and then they used it how it applies here. So you can definitely do that. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I was reading a little part in here. The Big Tail showcase on October 25th, 2019, and only afterwards with consent of or in partnership with CGCF. It's basically talking about the ownership and the permissions. It's saying after the showcase, we would have to get consent? Or
It's not necessarily consent, it's more of just letting us know, because after the Big Tell is over, we want to continue supporting our filmmakers. So that's just a way so that if you're showing it somewhere, like we'd love to come and see that, like we'd love to be able to help promote that. So it's just more of like giving us a heads up so that we know, like, so it's, I know it's like it's very scary language, but yeah, no, it's more of just so that we know, because we love to follow our filmmakers. Like I said, Zach and Shelly with Preying on Innocence, they've done workshops here and there in Visalia, and we've gone to a lot of those to kind of see like the work that they're doing. So it's just so that we can continue supporting you even after the showcase is over. Yes, there we go.
In the application, looks like you asked kind of in two different questions to talk about ourselves and why, I don't know the exact wording, but basically why we're doing it, or what, you know, the last question is tell us more about ourselves, and then one before that is like previous work and that kind of stuff. So what are you looking for us to tell us about ourselves?
So there's two sections. There's the person who's applying and then the filmmaker. Like we mentioned before, you don't have to be a filmmaker. We've had other people that have applied on behalf of their organization. So before you apply, say you are an organization, say it's someone from our office at CVCF. I apply, but I don't have any film experience, so then I'd go ahead and hire a filmmaker. So I'd have to put my information as the person who's applying, but then also include the information of the filmmaker. So that's kind of why we ask both of it. When we ask about previous work, that's going to be of the filmmaker. So if you are the filmmaker, you'll go ahead and just fill out that first section about yourself, and then you can skip the filmmaker section because you'd be working for both. And then you'll go ahead and continue on with the story concept. But that section is for if you aren't the filmmaker, but you're applying for it. So you are allowed to do that as well.
And if we've made films before, do you want a clip of a previous film you made, or a trailer or something like that?
Yes, there is a question for previous works. So if you wanted to go ahead and include that, that's just so that we can kind of get an idea. But again, if you're barely starting out in film and you haven't really produced anything in the past, I mean, as long as you put no previous experience, it's totally fine. It's just so that if you do have previous experience, we can kind of get an idea for what you're doing.
So we sign up as for CMAC as a three-person organization, so each of us individually could do an application, right, but then help each other out, like, right?
Yes, so you'd be able to do that. The only reason we'd ask about the filmmaker is that that's kind of be our main point of contact. So you can have a multiple person team, but we're going to need at least one person that we communicate with frequently, just so that they can kind of pass along the information to the rest of the team. But, any other questions?
Where did the funding come from? How did it get here?
So the way that the foundation works is that we have several kind of funds. And so it's through our donors that they kind of decide what they want to donate to. Someone can come to us and say, hey, we're very interested in doing programs to improve our parks or to help children with reading programs or something. So we have a group of donors that are very invested in the arts and culture programs. So whenever we did the Big Tell, they became very invested into producing these stories of the Central Valley. So with the generous support of our donors, we're able to do events like this. So it comes from just donors that we have here in the Central Valley. Yeah. Any other questions? Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, I do have all of our contact info up there. If you ever had any other questions, you guys can always call us, contact us through social media. We're here to help with anything that you guys may have. It is a very kind of lengthy application, but we're here to help you if you guys have any questions. Feel free to call anytime and we'll go ahead and help you out with anything you need. If you want to get in touch with us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, if it's easier for you guys that way, I'm the one on the other end of that phone, so you guys will go ahead and reach me directly. So if you guys want to do that. If you needed help with any technical support kind of questions, we encourage you guys to contact CMAC. They have all of those questions. I mean, you can reach out to me as well, but you're not going to get the right answer probably. I'll probably have to Google it and figure it out with you guys. So, but yeah, we'll be kind of hanging around. If you guys have any other questions, feel free. We'll go ahead and help you out with anything that you have. But I want to thank you guys so much for coming today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take a picture.